and it looked like new information has been revealed about Caitlin Clark's future contract with the Indiana Fever.
Caitlin Clark has already changed the regulations governing women's basketball. But what if I told you that there might be a revolutionary twist concealed in her rookie contract? The WNBA is about to undergo a seismic shift as a result of the Indiana Fever's recent leak of shocking new information about her future. Could Clark break salary records and force the league to completely alter its rules? This story isn't just about one player, it's about the WNBA's future. You'll see why Clark's contract is causing a stir in the sports world by the end of this video.
Telling everybody, Caitlin Clark's new contract is already in the works, bruh. The Indiana Fever is not wasting no time with making sure they dot their I's and cross all the T's when it comes to keeping Caitlin Clark on this Indiana Fever basket.
There is no denying Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA, and the Indiana Fever are under pressure to ensure her future with the team. Her rookie salary of $76.5535 is undoubtedly a small portion of her value, and the league is dealing with a reality it has never encountered before. A single player who brings in more money, attention, and buzz than entire teams combined. According to recent leaks from the Fever's camp, they are reportedly working behind the scenes on a groundbreaking deal. But the worst part is that they are running into trouble because of out-of-date league regulations.
Now, we know she's still on a rookie contract for the next couple years. But one thing I can tell you that I know definitively is that the organization is working on a massive contract for Caitlin Clark's future contract.
The figures are honest. Clark is in charge of 26% of all WNBA activity this season. Consider that a rookie right out of college is responsible for more than 25% of the league's revenue on her ERS, with her name attached to 1 out of every 6 WNBA ticket sales. She is more than just a player, she is a phenomenon, and the Fever know they can't afford to lose her.
Now, we know Caitlin Clark is ultimately going to be the person to yay or nay whatever solution they come up with. So they got to do everything in their best interest to get ahead of this thing way before it ever comes up. So word on the street is that the Indiana Fever is putting together proposals and putting together different things under the WNBA rules that they can for Caitlin Clark's new contract.
With Clark topping the charts and her jersey flying off the shelves faster than the league can restock, the Fever attracted over 300,000 fans to their games this season alone. Moreover, viewership increased by an astounding 300%, with 45% of those viewers tuning in specifically for Fever games. These figures aren't just statistics, they demonstrate that Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's revolutionizing the sport.
All of this is about getting Caitlin Clark's new contract done. They get her contract done, seal and deliver the future of this organization.
However, this is the issue. The collective bargaining agreement of the NBA, the present CBA, restricts what teams can pay and caps rookie compensation, regardless of Clark's value. The franchise is stuck with a system that was created long before a player of her caliber appeared. Clark's highest possible income is approximately $241,000. That's pennies in comparison to what she's bringing in. The league and Clark are aware of the Fever, but the rules haven't changed, so everyone is frantically looking for answers. According to the information leaked, the Fever is doing everything they can to keep Clark in Indianapolis. Innovative rewards, performance bonuses, endorsement deals, tie-ins, you name it, they're thinking about it. But even these initiatives seem like band-aid solutions for a far larger problem. The league's pay system is seriously flawed, and Clark's extraordinary success is highlighting how out of date it really is. Not to mention the financial impact she has had on the city of Indianapolis. Studies indicate that her presence alone has brought in an estimated $36 million, which is equivalent to hosting important events like the NC Final Four. Not only is Clark curing the city, but she is also making less money than many people in entry-level corporate positions. This discrepancy is unavoidable and is igniting a long-overdue discussion. The $338,000 four-year rookie contract that Clark signed is ridiculous in comparison to the NBA. Consider Victor Wanyama, the first overall choice in the 2024 NBA draft, who is making $13 million in his first year alone, nearly 40 times what Clark will make during her whole rookie contract. The disparity is astounding and begs the important question. The CBA is set to expire in 2025, giving the Fever a small window to push for changes that would allow them to offer Clark a contract worthy of her contributions. But change takes time, and the longer this drags on, the greater the risk that Clark will look for other opportunities. How can the WNBA expect to attract and retain top talent when the financial incentives are so limited? The Fever are reportedly getting ready for a showdown, knowing they'll need to go above and beyond to keep Clark, but the league's rules are standing in their way. Whether playing in a competing league abroad or maybe leaving the WNBA completely, the most remarkable aspect is the ripple effect. Clark has demonstrated that there is a market for women's basketball and that fans will attend games and spend money when given an incentive. However, if the league is unable to adjust to this new reality, it runs the risk of wasting the momentum she has built. And let's face it, this is a problem in sports, not just the WNBA. A social issue. This question goes right to the core of how we regard women's sports and the athletes who devote their life to them. How come a player who has done so much for her league still makes less money than the typical American household? Clark's tale is a microcosm of a bigger problem that needs to be addressed right away. The Indiana Fever and the WNBA are in a precarious position. They need to lock Clark in for the long run, but they're hampered by a system that wasn't made for players like her. According to leaked information, they're working extremely hard to find a solution, but the odds are stacked against them. Clark's future with the Fever and the league as a whole is at stake, and the next few years will be crucial not only for her career but also for the WNBA's trajectory. Will the league step up to the plate and adapt to this new era of women's basketball, or will it cling to antiquated norms and risk losing one of the best players it's ever seen? The stakes couldn't be higher for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. Let's examine why this situation is so urgent. Caitlin Clark is not just a once-in-a-generation player. She is a walking brand, a marketing powerhouse, and a beacon of what women's basketball could become. However, given the league's current constraints, the question still stands. Can the WNBA change swiftly enough to secure her future, or will it watch her slip through its fingers? Clark's impact goes well beyond the court. We're talking about a player who has increased league-wide TV viewership by 300% on her own. Fever games alone account for 45% of the WNBA's broadcast value, and for good reason. Not only is she a talented basketball player, but her magnetic personality, confidence, and unmistakable presence make her the kind of player that fans will pay to see. They're not just watching, they're purchasing her. The Fever depend on Jersey to keep the franchise afloat in addition to winning games. And in a league where financial difficulties are common, having a player like Clark is a lifeline. However, the problem is that Jersey routinely sells out, leading league merchandise sales by a wide margin. The Fever cannot just take money out of their wallets and give her a check for her actual value. The collective bargaining agreement of the NBA has forced teams to cap salaries and restrict what they may give, even their most talented players. According to sources, the Fever's camp is doing all within their power to provide Clark with incentives that would make her stay worthwhile, and the leaked documents show how anxious they are to keep her. Bonuses for performance. Equity in the team's support. Collaborations. All of these options are there, but they might not be sufficient. In actuality, the league must intervene and alter its regulations if it wants to keep a player of Clark's caliber, and it's not just about Clark. Her predicament serves as a litmus test for the NBA's future. If the organization is unable to compensate its best players fairly, it may lose them to rival leagues or possibilities abroad. This is currently occurring. It is not merely hypothetical. Famously, athletes like Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart have played in Europe and Asia during the off-season, earning much more money than they do in the WNBA. The economic impact of Clark's presence cannot be overstated. Her rookie season has brought $36 million to the city of Indianapolis alone, which includes not only ticket sales but also hotel bookings, restaurant revenue, and local business growth. Clark hasn't ruled out these options, and you can bet that other leagues are closely monitoring this situation, ready to step in if the Fever can't deliver. For a city like Indianapolis, which has long prided itself on being a hub for sports, losing Clark would be a devastating blow. The WNBA and the Fever are aware of this. The league has an obligation to the communities it represents as well as its teams, and keeping Clark in Indianapolis is essential to sustaining that momentum despite the obstacles. Even after Clark's rookie contract expires, the maximum salary she could receive under the current regulations is only $241,000. This amount is insignificant in comparison to her market value, and while endorsement deals can help close the gap, they are insufficient to make up for what she is actually worth to the league. This is where the Fever strategy becomes crucial. The NBA's collective bargaining agreement, which is in effect until 2025, caps rookie salaries at $76.55. Despite the limits of the present CBA, the leaked reports indicate that they are already working to safeguard her future. Offering Clark a revenue-sharing agreement in which she would get a portion of the team's earnings is one rumored option. This would be a revolutionary step for the WNBA and might establish a standard for other teams and players, but even this concept is fraught with difficulties. Revenue-sharing agreements are notoriously difficult to negotiate and require support from the league and its owners, a group that hasn't always been willing to embrace change. The Fever are also reportedly looking into the possibility of a long-term endorsement partnership tied directly to the team, which would allow them to indirectly compensate Clark by partnering with brands that complement her image. This is a creative solution, but it comes with risks. First, it depends on the assumption that brands will continue to see value in associating with the Fever, which is a safe bet as long as Clark is present, but a gamble if her star power ever wanes. Lastly, there is the issue of Clark's own priorities. Up until now, she has remained focused on her game, avoiding much of the drama surrounding her contract situation. But she's no fool. She knows her worth and she has options. Playing basketball abroad, joining a rival league, or perhaps taking a break to concentrate on her expanding portfolio of sponsorship deals. The Fever are aware that Clark has the power to control her own destiny, which is why they are working so hard to lock her in right now. However, if they are unable to do so, the consequences would be felt throughout the league. Losing Clark would be a PR nightmare for the WNBA, undermining the advancements it has made recently. It would also send a clear message to other players. If the league can't keep its biggest star, what hope is there for anyone else? Clark's predicament shows how far the WNBA still has to go in its efforts to establish itself as a feasible professional choice for female players. The league needs to change its wage structure, which is possibly the most aggravating aspect of the answer. Simply said, individuals like Clark who have the ability to take the sport to new heights are being held back by the current structure, which was created to foster equality and financial stability. It's a classic example of short-term thinking impeding long-term progress. By investing in its players, the WNBA might start a positive feedback loop whereby higher salaries result in improved performance, viewership, and eventually increased profitability. But change takes time, and time is running out. The clock is ticking not only on Clark's rookie contract, but also on the league's ability to demonstrate that it can support its stars. The Fever are doing everything in their power to keep her, but they are limited by the current system, and unless the WNBA takes the initiative and makes the required changes, they run the risk of losing the very players who could save it. More than just basketball, Caitlin Clark's story explores what happens when talent, marketability, and antiquated systems collide. It's a tale of opportunity and frustration, of progress and resistance, and it's a story that will be crucial over the coming years, not only for Clark but also for the WNBA as a whole. Regardless of whether the future of women's basketball for years to come will depend on whether they step up or fall short. Caitlin CLK not only is Clark a player, but she is also a movement and a force of nature that demands attention. The WNBA and the Fever are aware of this, and soon the entire sports world will be as well.